Yo, what's up, people? It's the Solar Kid, and we back on the Other Side of the Sun podcast. My guest today is an actor, director, producer, writer, also the author of a book or novel, actually, which is out. It's called The Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict. And she also hosts a podcast called Secret Life of, is that right?
Just Secret Life, yeah.
Secret Life, yes. So, my pleasure to introduce Brianne Davis. I hope I
Hi.
said your name. I hope I said your name correctly.
You did. Good job.
Oh, Brianne, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. So, Brianne has a self-proclaimed sex and love addict, or recovered sex and love addict. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, for 11 years. I've been sober in Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous for 11 years.
So there's actually a group called Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous?
Yeah, it's a 12-step program. It's based on the model of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's 12-step programs for everything. And I talk about this on my podcast a lot in Secret Life, gambling addiction, debtors anonymous, overeaters, nicotine, narcotics. I mean, literally there's a 12-step program for anything. I had a guy come on and he was did a 12-step program for toy collecting.
Wow.
Like action figures that, you get addicted to things outside of us that fill us or give us that hit where we don't have to feel everyday feelings. And mine is I'm addicted to people.
Okay, yeah. So give us give me a bit of a background. Like, what was how did you get to that point? How do you become, what was your childhood like? Or how do you become a sex and love addict?
Well, here's the thing that I like to say is not everybody has a traumatic childhood experience and they still become sex and love addicts. They could grow up in a household that was loving and parents that were still together and all those things and still have this problem, especially if addiction runs in the family. For me, at a very early age, I saw movies that weren't appropriate. One of my favorite movies was Romeo and Juliet growing up because my dad loved Shakespeare. So we would sit there and watch these movies like Taming of the Shrew. And I remember seeing Romeo and Juliet and like the main character, he shows his butt. And I remember at 6 years old being like, oh, that's a cute butt. Like,
Really?
and then, yeah. And then at the end, Romeo and Juliet, they kill themselves for each other. So I always pictured that love had to be so passionate and dramatic that one or two people have to die at the end, or like be willing to die or drink poison or stab themselves. So that definitely set this weird precedence for what a relationship looked like. And then my parents were unhappy, divorced. They didn't get along. They fought a lot when I was younger. So I definitely didn't have the view of what a healthy marriage looked like. So I never wanted to get married. I looked at marriage as a trap, looked at relationship as a trap. So as soon as that first high of love, you know how you have that high, like falling in love is the best high in the world. As soon as that wore off, I found myself like always looking for like the next person to intrigue or flirt with. So yeah. And then, I was molested very young. So my sexuality was taken from me at a very young age. And so that just got me primed and ready to be a sex and love addict, I guess.
So would you say you were were you searching for something, or was it a need to be in control of of situations, or how would you describe it? What was that longing, or what was it like driving you, or what was the driving force behind it?
I love that question, and thanks for asking that, because not everybody has asked that. For me, my addiction was always about power and control, because I always felt so out of control. In life, we have no control. Honestly, you could walk out on the street and get hit by a car, or we have no control over anything. So when you grow up in a not stable home, I was searching for control. And the one thing I had control over for a very young age was power over the opposite sex. So for me, it was always about power and control. And doing that it was also searching not for the perfect soulmate. I wasn't that type of addict. I wasn't looking like the perfect wedding, the perfect partnership, someone to complete me.
Were you like
There's no
were you like the girl in the movies that's like the head of the sorority and like just waves a finger and all the guys come and
yes and no. Like I had that, but it was all ego and not real. And that, but then I was also like on the outskirts. Like I was cool, but I was just like on the edge of the cool crowd. Do you know what I mean? Like I fit in with them, but then I was always never felt like I fit in with anybody anywhere. I always found myself different, unique, special than everybody. I grew up in the South, so a lot of females are gentle and soft and not opinionated.
Yeah.
And I am not those things. I am not those things. I'm very opinionated. I'm very direct. I would thrive on confrontation. So I definitely wasn't what the standard female was when I was growing up.
And then like how did you like realize like, yo, I have a problem, or like I need to actually get some help now, or like was it getting to a point where you just, like seeing loads of guys, or what? I mean, what was it? What made you get help or even realize that you have a problem?
Yeah, it was a definitely this moment where I had this awakening. I was never one of those girls that, I never had a one night stand in my entire life. I was a monogamous girl where I would have one long-term relationship and they'd be my best friend, but the kind of sexual high would be gone and I would already have them trapped. So then I would be intriguing or flirting with random people. And as an actor, you go, on location, and I would like flirt and intrigue with my co-star, somebody, the crew, or they call them a showmances in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Everybody has them. They're like known, where you go and have like an affair with somebody on set. And when the movie's done 2 months later, it's over. So that's the norm in LA, just so everybody knows.
It's the same in the
Hollywood.
West End over here, like
Really?
Yeah, like in the theater scene, like in West End.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that whole theater artist vibe where you like go where, you're cool and you're like, but really you're just giving yourself away for free and not, it's never completely connected. Yeah. So what happened, my bottom moment was I had a boyfriend for about 4 years and he was my best friend and I loved him as much as I could love somebody and I cared about him, and if we weren't together I'd want to be friends with him. So I thought like the cheating and the flirting and the intrigue was over, but my mentor died and I found myself 2 days later on location in another city shooting a movie. And I was about to act out with this person I just met and I didn't even like as a person. It was like this factor, like I didn't even like this person. He was rude to waiters. He was just a terrible person, like ego. And I found myself like about to blow up my relationship. And I was in a dark hotel room in this city. And I was like, am I going to be doing this the rest of my life? Am I going to always be looking for something and using people? It just like I hit my knees in this dark hotel room and I said, it can't be, because I was always thinking it was the guy. It was like something's not right. It didn't look like the movies. Because nobody talks about paying bills in the movies, right? They don't talk about real life.
I was just gonna say that's the key point. Like, I know for myself as a kid, like I always lived my life or wanted to live my reality like, a Hollywood movie. Like you have these ideas of like how things are supposed to be and how people are supposed to be and how your life is supposed to go. And, like, I completely get that.
It's all fantasy. It's all not reality. It's not what real commitment, real being with intimacy looks like. And, we're having trouble with the porn industry. It's showing like nobody looks like that when they're making love. Like that's just not how it looks. So anyways, yeah, I called my friend. She hooked me up with her therapist. I went, and the session, she looked me dead in the eyes and she said 2 things. The first thing she said was, you wear the mask of a high-class prostitute. one of her clients was a high class prostitute, and she said, you wear the mask of my other client has the same mask, like what you put on in the world. And then that pissed me off. But then the second thing she said was, you're a sex and love addict. And I was like, huh? Like, I think Tiger Woods, or things were starting to come out about being a sex addict. And so I thought, that's like a guy thing. Yeah, like I was like, because part of me is like, I don't sleep around. I haven't had many partners. It's not like I'm one of those girls in the club sleeping with everybody. Or so for me, thinking I was a sex addict was so not connected to what I thought. But when I thought about it and we filled out, there's these 40 questions. If you're listening, it's self-diagnosed on Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. Type in 40 self-diagnosed questions of sex and love addiction. And I filled it out, and and it's in the book, just so you know, it's in the book, but I got 38 out of 40 questions were yes. And they say if you get 5 or more yeses, like maybe this is something you should look at.
No,
so
sorry, no, I was just gonna say, like, I think that is the misconception, because when like, the first thing you think about when you think, okay, someone's a sex addict, I mean, you don't even add the love part to it. You just think like, okay, this is a porn movie, like she's basically banging guys every second day kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, and it's pretty interesting. So like, what are the 40 questions? Like, what are they?
Well, some of them are, are you looking for someone to fix you? Are you returning to unhealthy, damaging relationships, destructive relationships? Do you find yourself intriguing and flirting when you don't want to? Do you, what's another one? I mean, they're literally honestly, anybody could fill them out and they'd probably get 10 of them. They talk about swiping left, swiping right, going on social media and looking for the likes and things like that we all do to not feel our feelings every day. Like, so it was very eye-opening. I called my boyfriend that I was living with, and I was crying driving on the highway in traffic on 101 in Los Angeles. And I was like, I am a sex and love addict, she says. And I get home because we live together, and he printed up all the meetings in Los Angeles and he highlighted all the ones I could go to. And I found myself at a meeting that night for newcomers. It was about 40 people, every walk of life, from a 70-year-old man to like, I was the youngest at the time. They're a lot younger now, but all, ethnicity, background, economic, like every person you can imagine. It was like an A-list celebrity to a janitor. It was unbelievable. And every single person, they said something I could identify with. And I started bawling because I was crying because the first time I didn't feel so alone or broken. Like, I just thought I was one of those people that could never truly commit to somebody, that I could never be married. And I just have to say, if you're listening right now, like, I'm with the same man I was. We've been together for 16 years. He's my husband. I have a child. It's not like I got better and then found the perfect mate. It's not about finding the perfect mate. It's about self-love. Like, I love myself now.
Yeah, I think that's a key point. And like, a lot of people don't realize that, like, in this day and age of swiping left and right, and like, I mean, I'm sure London is pretty similar to like, LA and New York and whatever. Is like, there's a lot of successful single people. So you're living that life. You can go out every night of the week. You can meet new people. But then you get to a point in your life, and something I noticed, like with women, like over the age of 30 or so, is that you become so used to your way of doing things, and like, it's your life and it's your this, that you find it hard to like actually let go and open up. And as you said, like, you know what I mean? It's not about finding the right thing, or like, you left and then you found this amazing Prince Charming, came on the horse and, swept you up and took you away. It's literally about loving yourself. And for me, when I met when I like fell in love with my wife, was a place in my life when I had actually found my peace. Like, literally, like a couple of months before I met her, I was like, I feel at peace with myself. I feel cool.
Yeah.
I just feel good, happy with who I am, wherever, you know what I mean? And then you know, we met and, you know, the rest is history. But like literally, that's such a good point that you make.
I mean, that's what I say. First of all, London has the third biggest Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. Like London's pretty
Yeah,
huge
makes
with that
sense.
program. It's LA, New York, London, and then Sydney, Australia. But they're all over the world. I mean, we had a meeting, my sponsee had a meeting in Bali. You know, like we're all over the world. The community is so huge now, which gives me so much comfort when there's a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old coming in and they're going to do the work earlier than waiting till your 30s, you know? So I do have to say when you are okay with just you and then someone comes in and there's no drama. Listen, people fight, but I always say the big key, if there's drama in your life with your relationships, your friendships, your family members, your partner, whatever, there's usually some things you need to look at. And with society right now, with Instagram, DMing, all that is we're like looking for bigger, better, shinier, you know, the perfect white knight. And that just doesn't exist because humans are flawed. Like you're flawed, I'm flawed, your wife's flawed, my husband's flawed. We're never going to find that perfect person because it doesn't exist.
I think that kind of brings me to, well, one of the, not questions, something I wanted to mention, like, because I've listened to your podcast, and the thing I like most about it is that you are, like you say, you outing yourself, which is something that,
Totally.
like, I know I still would not be 100% comfortable with like letting out like my deep dark secrets. So maybe we could just touch a bit on that, like, because you going pretty deep, like, you know, like literally telling the whole world what you know, what's going on inside your head. So like, I mean, what's the idea behind that? Like, I mean, how do you, I mean, obviously there's some sort of therapy or, you know, like, I don't know.
Well, I think it's not even about therapy. I mean, I did 8 years of therapy. When I first started the program, I did 8 years of therapy. I went to 4 meetings a week, 2 meetings a week. I've sponsored tons of people all over the world. I've been sponsored by two amazing people. I did my 12 steps, which took 9 years to finish. I wouldn't recommend that for anybody.
Oh, wow.
So when I hit my decade of recovery in Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, this thing happened inside of me. And believe me, I never wanted to write a book. I never wanted to have a podcast. I was just happy being a working actor. I've been a working actor for 20 years. But this thing came over me. I spoke at this meeting for 45 minutes for all over the world, right? And then I get these calls. They can call in and leave me messages, and I get these calls from so many people. And it was this like moment of like, I need to step in to be of service on a bigger level. And there was, with all these people reaching out to me, I realized so many people are suffering in this world and they don't know about Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, and they don't even know that there's an answer to not using people anymore. And I got asked to write this article for HuffPost, pretty much outing myself, saying, hey, I have this disease. It doesn't affect it. There's no shame. I don't carry any shame. And I think that's the difference. I didn't get caught. I got to work on myself.
Yeah.
I got to do the work. I got to self-love. Yeah. And writing that article for HuffPost, you know, in less than a month, it got 2 million hits. It got so many people reached out to me again. And in doing that, my husband was like, you need to write. And I'm like, I'm not a writer. I have dyslexia. I'm ADHD. Like, I can't even write a sentence. Like, leave me alone. I just want dialogue and I'll be fine. And he kept bothering me. And I'm like, fine. And I wrote the book in 45 days, the first draft. And I was like, wow, this is bigger than me. This isn't even me. Honestly, me talking to you or me writing the book or doing even the podcast, this is God. This is my higher power. This is the universe is just using me as a voice. So I think because I don't make it about myself, because if I do, my ego will like run rampant because I am an addict, you know. I just really say, like, I'm just being of service. Me and you are having a conversation. That's all it is. And with my podcast, you know, when my guests reveal their deepest, darkest secrets and things they're shameful of, I always make a point to reveal something about myself, because it's just two people sharing their vulnerability, sharing their shame, sharing that secret you keep inside. so that it doesn't run us anymore. So we don't go out in the world and damage other people. And, you know, because when I realized the things I did to other people, that there was a ripple effect. Like it affected people for years, like their partners, that this is my way of making amends, making a living amends, and not being the person that I used to be.
Wow. Yeah, no, I mean, that's, like I said, I'm still not sure if I could, like, I mean, growing up, I always kind of like wore my heart on my sleeve. You know what I mean? I was like probably the opposite of you. Is like I was, you know, I couldn't even lie to my girlfriends. Like you would just know, like on my face, like if I, you know, attempted cheating or whatever. But then as I got older, I became harder. You know, like
Yeah.
you become better at it. Like, and then when I got to like college and stuff like that, I was like, okay, now I know how to do this thing. And yeah, like
You know how to play the game.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, I was a very sensitive kid, and a lot of addicts, you know, for all addictions, are very sensitive. And when the molestation, the, you know, parents fighting, the instability, the, you know, all that, not having control at such a young age, I grew hard. I put up those masks, like my therapist said, like mask on top of mask. And then I became an actor, and we're like acting like people. So I was like, an empty person acting like a person in real life, then acting on TV. So it was like all these masks I wore. So just protect my heart. You know, we're all sensitive. Listen, on this planet, we all want the same things. We all want to be loved. We all want to be accepted. We all don't want to be abandoned. So if we can all just connect on that level, how much healing we could do, you know?
Yeah, I think just certain people probably just don't want to admit it, though. That's the problem.
Of course not. Our ego runs the show, man. Like edging God out, like making it all about me. It's a very selfish, self-seeking society right now. I mean, we see in the United States, people won't even wear a mask to help their neighbor. Like put a mask on.
Yeah, you
You
can
know,
say that's
so
fine. I mean, I agree with that.
we're just very selfish society, and always looking for like, what's mine, what's mine, what's mine. No, don't take it, because our society, you know, focuses on scarcity. There's never enough food, there's never enough medicine, there's never enough, never enough, never enough. And it's like, there is enough. Like, stop. We can all be giving. And that's what I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be giving in my own way to another person, to a person listening that doesn't have a voice, that's suffering, that doesn't know how to get out of their patterns that are killing them. There are more people that die over sex and love addiction than any other addiction. More people commit suicide. More people commit murder. I spoken in jails, female jails in Los Angeles County for 2.5 years. I did a sex and love addicts meeting every Saturday. And every woman in that jail was in there for sex and love addiction. She sold drugs for her partner. She murdered somebody. She burglarized, literally every single inmate.
Wow.
It's like this disease kills more people. If you watch Dateline, it's always about there's like a love triangle. Somebody kills somebody.
Oh my God, that's Hollywood.
I just went off on a tangent. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, that's perfect. I mean, like the show is about tangents and stuff. Anyway, like, so what is I mean, what's lockdown been like over there? Like, how are you coping with it? Like, what's going on right now with the
life over here in Los Angeles?
Yeah, it's like lockdown and COVID and what's going on?
We are in lockdown. I mean, right now they open things back up, but our numbers are through the roof. You know, the more contagious virus is over here. I think the UK virus just got over here.
Oh, wow.
So for me, my husband and I are, you know, we're working from home. We're taking turns. I'm promoting the book. We have our podcast. Our toddler's at home. He's been at home for over a year. He's almost 3. So I'm just trying to, you know, think this isn't going to be forever, and that right now we're just trying to be of service in any way we can. My husband's also in a 12-step program. He's 32 years sober in AA.
Okay.
And so our whole life revolves around being of service, you know, turning everything over to God, that if we can only go to the park with him, that's okay. Like, we don't need to be going to restaurants. So yeah, I mean, we're just powering through like everyone else and trying to get on our 12-step meetings in the morning to ground us.
Oh, that's awesome. Like, and you mentioned God there. So are you spiritual? Like, do you have like like, are you like religious practice, or are you Christian?
I'm spiritual through and through. I don't have a religion. I didn't grow up with a religious family. If you used to mention God to me before being in a 12-step program, I would laugh at you because I would think like, why should I turn something over to somebody I can't see, feel, touch, that I feel hasn't been taking care of me my whole life? I was really like, anything good that happened to me, I did it myself. Like I did it. I powered through. I'm a worker. Like I'm driven. And then I would think if anything bad happened to me, that it was like God doing it. I used to imagine, you know, those cartoons where like the carrot's dangled over the rabbit and the rabbit jumps for the carrot and God, like it like swipes away. You know what I mean? That cartoon, like swiping it away and they fall in their face. I used to think God would do that to me. He would dangle something I wanted and then take it away. And then I'd be like, F you,
That's
God.
you. Yeah, that's you. So like,
But no, now what's different is I just literally turn my life over to something bigger than me. I know I'm like this small on the planet. I know I'm a worker among workers. I'm no special than anybody else or unique than anyone else. I'm just here trying to live the best life. And, you know, if something bad happens to me, I know there's a lesson there, and
are there
that's
any
God's
like
plan.
are there any like particular philosophies or like anything that interests you, or like religious practices like meditation or yoga, or do you do any of those types of stuff?
Yeah, I do yoga at night. I have like a 10-minute yoga stretching practice because it just calms me down before bed. I write every night 3 things I'm grateful for, no matter what. They all always have to be different. I meditate every day for 10 minutes.
Nice.
Um, just because I know if I don't have that minute to connect, to just like be, I'm such a doer, I'll just find myself like doing. So sometimes lately during the pandemic, I've meditated twice a day. You know, my husband and I take turns meditating if our son's up. So I just really try. I call my sponsor. We pray together. I pray every night. I actually pray all the time. I say the Serenity Prayer all the time, you know, when I'm just feeling like out of control.
That's really cool, actually.
Thanks.
Just 1 second. I think I've got a visitor.
Hi, visitor. Oh my God, cute. That was so cute.
It's bedtime. I think.
How is that, your son or daughter?
That's my youngest son.
How old is he?
He just turned 3 in November. Yeah.
Oh, mine's about to turn 3.
Yeah, he's a bit of a handful right now, but he's got like I've got 2 older ones as well. So
you got your hands full.
Yeah. So you can imagine like being locked down, 3 kids, homeschooling.
No, I
Yeah.
cannot imagine. We are not having to do homeschooling, but having an almost 3-year-old, one day you're like, things are awesome. And then the next day you're like, oh my God, what did I do? Like, Lord, help me getting through this day without wanting to like scream.
Yep, exactly. So I'm just gonna do like a quick segment, basically just answer. I'm gonna say when and then I'll say whatever, and then just whatever comes to your mind.
Okay.
So when I wake up.
When I wake up, I try to remember just to be.
Okay, that's cool. When I'm feeling angry.
When I'm feeling angry, I try to pause and get in touch with how I'm feeling truly.
Okay. When I have to deal with someone that's acting a fool.
Oh, when I'm dealing with someone that's acting a fool, I try not to have judgment. I try to find compassion because I can be very judgmental.
Yeah, we all can be, man. Honestly, it's tough. When I feel overwhelmed.
When I feel overwhelmed, I try to find gratitude.
Okay, and then the last one, when I am super hungry.
When I'm super hungry, watch out, because I become a monster.
Yeah, cool. No, I just throw that in there because I like how your podcast deals with like real issues, and
Mhm.
also, I mean, it's something I've been thinking about a lot recently, like, these thoughts that you have. And I think in one of your podcasts you mentioned something about going to the grave with these secrets that you just haven't let out, like, do you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
you basically want to work that out of your system before you get to that point, so that you can create like a ripple effect of positivity or love or peace, instead of the other thing, which is the negative consequences for like withholding information. And I think, like, I don't know about you, but I believe in like collective consciousness,
Mhm.
because I believe like the world is an organism, and like we are all part of this organism, I mean, the human race. So if we're all part of the universe and part of the organism, then it means that we're all connected. So if someone is withholding something that is negative or dark or deep, then it's creating an energy that's getting sent out across this network. And like the more people doing it, you end up with a city like London or a city like New York, you know what I mean? And that's why I really like how you tackle those issues with your podcast. So the question I'm trying to ask is like, how does someone, or like, how do you get to a point where you can actually just start talking about? Because like I said, like for me, I still feel like there's certain things that, like, probably my wife still doesn't know, or like I wouldn't, like, literally, I'd like keep it to myself. So how do we get past that? Like, what can we do? Or
Well, for me, the first thing was using my voice, talking to somebody about it, talking to a therapist, talking to someone that usually has no skin in the game, always helps. Where it's not your parent or your partner. We have a rule and 12 steps, especially in Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. We do not tell anything to anybody that would damage them. So for me, when I was making amends to people I've done wrong in the past, it wasn't appropriate for me to reach out to an ex because I'm married and they're probably with somebody. So I would make a living amends, things like that. But if something damages, a secret damages somebody else, even discussing it with one other person, it can start to release the shame, because I'm telling you, secrets kill us. Secrets keep us separate. Secrets keep us disconnected. Even when you think you're not being disconnected, you are, because you're withholding something. So the first thing I would say, talk to somebody, find a group, because honestly, doing the podcast has taught me that everybody has secrets, everybody has shame. And when the moment they're released, I'm telling you, I've recorded over 127 episodes for my podcast with every secret you can imagine, using abortion as birth control, suicide with a shotgun, stealing from Jeff Bezos at Whole Foods, to like eating disorders for men and women, and being in a insane asylum, and every secret you could imagine. Honestly, every secret. And every person I've had on has had a huge awakening just talking to me. And a couple of them have asked me not to release their episodes. And that's one of the things I say. If you come on my show anonymous, because a lot of people come on anonymous, well known, I have a lot of well known people. If you decide you don't want me to release it, I will get rid of it. And I've done that 3 times. But it still gave them some healing because we had a discussion about it and they didn't feel so alone. It's when we feel alone in our shame and our secrets, that is what literally kills us.
okay, I might have to send you an email at some point. Like,
Yay, we can change your name. I mean, honestly, 60% of my guests, their names are changed. You will
yeah,
never know who they are. Yeah. So please come on,
okay.
because I'm telling you. And here's the beautiful thing. It's really not about my guests and it's not about me. It's about the people listening. That's what's important to me. The listeners that don't have the voice. Because I had this one guy reach out to me and he was listening to a female talk about her eating disorder and how her parent treated her. And he was running, listening to the podcast, and it stopped him in his track that the woman had the same thing done to her as it happened to him. And it brought up all this like emotion, and he got to release it. And he reached out to me and he said, "Thank you so much for that episode. I didn't realize I had that buried deep." And like that to me is like worth all the hours I have spent doing the podcast.
Okay. Okay, I'll think about it.
Okay, think about it. Think about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, yeah, those are like basically the questions I had for you. So, I mean, if there's anything that like you want to leave with me, or like if there's anything you want to promote, or like, yeah.
Oh yeah, the book. I'll just do the book because
Yeah.
it's coming out. Okay, cool. So yeah, the last thing I want to say is like I wrote a book, and I'm not a writer. Like I said, I didn't want to write a book, and it's called Secret Life of a Hollywood Sex and Love Addict. It's about the story of Roxanne, who's based on my life, but it's a Roma Clef fiction. So I put a lot of my imagination, you know, a lot of things that happen to other people. Every name is changed. You'll never find out who it is. You could always guess because it's fun. And she finds out her first 10 rules for her first year of sobriety in Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous while she's a working actress in Hollywood. So it's a very, I wanted to write a book that was very fun, that took someone on an adventure, but also taught the lessons of sex and love addiction, because it's a very misunderstood disease. And when I was first getting sober, I would pick up books for sex and love addicts, sex addicts, love addicts. And I would get through a page and it would be so academic, so like educational that I'd want to like, throw it against the wall and be like, oh, you know? So I wanted to write a book where it was fun, but you still get to understand. And I had a beautiful experience that I just spoke about, that my mom read it. She called me, she was crying. Wow. And she said, "I had some of those tendencies. And now that I read this, I understand your addiction so much more. So thank you so much." So just having that connection with my mom has made writing this book worth it. And, you know, I just want to entertain people. I'm an actor. I tell stories, and I'm a director. So this is my other medium now of telling stories.
Nice.
So,
but
yeah.
I'll make sure that like there's links obviously in the description and stuff.
Yeah.
The book should be out by the time this podcast comes out. So
great.
Definitely. And do you want to leave me with like some inspirational words or anything for my viewers to hold on to or to think about?
Well, two things I always like to say: let go and let God, whatever your God looks like. If anything's plaguing you, turn it over. That really helped me when I was struggling, just to be like, this, you take care of this, you take care of this, you take care of this. And then one thing is, there's a quote that I love. It says, self-love is the most important love you'll experience in this lifetime. And I think the whole point is you are born with yourself and you die with yourself. So why wouldn't you be the person you love the most and care for the most? So, you know, if you're struggling out there and in a situation you can't get out, there is a way out, and you will be okay. Like, you got to walk through the pain to get to the other side, because using others and things just delays the process. So really just step into it and get on the other side of it. And you're not alone. And if you want to reach out to me, you can DM me at the Brianne Davis on Instagram, or at Secret Life Novel, Secret Life Podcast. You know, I'm on TikTok now, which is really fun, at the dot Brianne Davis. And yeah, so if you're struggling, reach out to me and I'll send you some information. You know, you do not have to do this alone.
Brianne, thank you so much. I mean, this was like so eye-opening for me, and I hope like my viewers like they get something out of this as well. Guys,
I hope so.
They definitely will, and I'll definitely hit you up at some point about probably coming on and hopefully letting go of some of my innermost secrets.
Please.
And this has been the Other Side of the Sun podcast with me, the Solar Kid, and this is Brianne Davis telling us all about sex and love addiction. And peace. We are out.